right. And you know what, Anna? Their parents didn't just step up then. They're still stepping up.
They are.
They're still stepping up.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I can, we could go on all.
Yes, we
they're
could.
telling us we
Yes, we
can't.
could.
So give it up for our incredible panel. Yes. So, of course, we want to hear from our teachers. So it is time to meet some amazing teachers from all over this country. We are joined by those who have common experiences and some experiences that are a little bit different. We want to hear and honor their voices, of course, today and throughout the year. Please welcome to the stage Mandy Jung, a 7th grade teacher from St. Paul, Minnesota. Aaron Freeman, a high school history teacher from Broward County, Florida. And Keith Kelsey, a music educator from Baltimore. So, all of you are welcome. Miss Cheryl is going to ask you some questions.
Ooh.
Miss Cheryl.
I know you love what you do. We do.
Yes.
You know, they just asked me, what did I think more could be done for teachers? You are teachers. What do you think more could be done? Let's start with you, Miss Minnesota.
All right. So I really appreciated hearing what everybody has to say. Teaching is kind of a career where you feel like you're in a silo. And you feel separate.
No, explain that. You feel like you're all alone.
So you are, you feel, it can feel isolating because the day is jam-packed and I am in my classroom and you kind of like, come up here, hi, how's it going down there? And then back in. And, my hours are weird. My friends are all busy when I'm busy. So you don't get a lot of opportunities to talk to people about what it's like to actually be an educator because everybody went to school, so everybody knows, And they're comparing what you're talking about with their everyday life, so, or with their experiences in school. So I think when I say teachers are in a silo, it just feels great to hear that we have people on our side who are working for us and working for our conditions. And it's, I don't know, that was uplifting, right? Like, that was better than any donut or apple bag of empty air. Yeah, it was wonderful. And what we need from you is just to share that love and talk to people about your experience and educate yourselves about what's going on and the conditions that we're facing and try to give us the benefit of the doubt. We are human, after all. I know that they called us superheroes for a long time.
Really? Are you really?
I mean, I'm not, but, it's a lot of pressure to do this job and to be seen as a figure in the community and try to do all that on $30,000 a year. It's just a lot. It's a lot.
Yes.
So yeah.
With all of those kids.
Yes. Well, and we need, I'm sorry to bring this up if you don't want to talk about this, but your husband is a state representative and he's passing amazing legislation.
No. My husband is not a state rep. My husband is a
senator. That's
Thank
right.
you.
So he's a state senator in Virginia. And I've recently become involved with some of the Minnesota legislature, and we're doing amazing things in the state of Minnesota. And your husband is passing legislation and bringing forth bills that will help families. And when the families are helped, when housing is taken care of, that helps all of us. Absolutely. That helps all of us.
Thank you. My husband, State Senator Vincent Hughes, will be very proud.
Yeah, but that's what we need.
Yeah. So tell me, how can we help you?
I also agree. I think that we want to be heard. That's the main thing. We are human. Yes, we make mistakes, things happen, but just like you're at your job, you make a mistake, ours is different. Ours is on, there's a microphone there, there's a video camera, there's cell phone cameras, you have all these, it becomes a news story. Yeah. So we really want to, for one, be respected, as you guys talked about earlier, be respected, be heard, and also be paid. I have a master's degree, and you couldn't tell from my salary. So I feel like it isn't really fair, and we work really hard, and so we need to be paid for that. We should be paid for that.
More money.
More money.
Time
More
and
money.
attention.
And fewer problems.
Housing, fewer problems. Well, girl, we all got problems. And Keith, what about you? Music and all of that is usually the first thing to go, but how can we help you?
I'm going to piggyback off of Aaron and say, again, professional compensation. I think that's a good start, but especially speaking as a black male educator, there's so much research out there stating that black men make a huge impact on our classrooms. But you have to pay them if you want them to be in the classrooms. Because black men, they're trying to raise their families. They're trying to break generational curses. If you want them in the classrooms, you need to pay them. So that's where I would start.
Agreed.
You know, and don't you think we also need to find a way to let people understand, especially young people of all the colors, especially black, that it is a good job to have.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That it can be, you know, teachers lift up communities.
Yep.
You know, I think we'd have much less problems if we supported teachers more so that they wouldn't have to deal all the things that they got to deal with, like guns in the school.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is becoming, for a lot of urban schools, an everyday real problem.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
So, what inspires you all?
So we talked about this backstage, and we're gonna all say more or less the same thing, and it is our students. I am so excited by Gen Z and Gen Alpha after them. Yeah, you guys are so cool. I'm just a dorky millennial who's like, yay! You're doing it! Lightning McQueen! But I'm so excited. I'm so excited by this generation because they are globally minded, they are civically minded, and they ask why. Which, as an educator, can be frustrating to have yourself be constantly questioned, but that is so good for us and so good for our society. They are not satisfied with the status quo. They want things to change. Wow. And I get so excited every day in my classroom. I'm like, you guys are going to be amazing!
You know, I've heard that a lot. My kids are the end of the millennium, and they say these Gen Zers are kind of great. I love that. What inspires you?
I agree. I think it is the students. There are times in my classroom where things can be going crazy, and a student will say something that is so brilliant that I'm like, okay, like, y'all are going to be okay. We are going to be okay because we understand that children are, you know, our future, really. And so sometimes they say things that are so profound, and they say things that really make me feel good as a teacher, but also know that we're going to be okay, and that the reason I'm doing this is working.
Yes. So what was one of the one things that you heard
that
made you feel
there are
good?
so many different examples, but I am a student government association advisor. So it's SGA. So I do that because we need more money, and so I do anything that gives us more compensation. But I really enjoy being the SGA advisor because I have these kids who want to be leaders. Yeah. And so I have a few kids now that have stepped up, and anything I need done, before I even ask, it's already done. And it's just, it's weird to me because I'm just like, I was gonna ask, okay, well you already did it. And it's so refreshing and good to have that, and it makes me feel good, and I know that we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
That's good parenting.
Be okay. Yes.
That's good parenting.
Yes.
When you can anticipate.
Go ahead. What about
same
your
here.
inspiration?
My students, I love them. So I teach 4th and 5th grade music. I love my
that's
babies.
good.
They're so sweet. So definitely the kids inspired me because I just love the bonds I built with them, the relationships I have with them. And another thing that inspires me too, I do feel a little bit of hope. I think that things will get better for us and for our schools. Just seeing, different policy that's being changed. I know in Maryland we passed the blueprint for Maryland, which is great. Yes, that is good. And it's unfortunate that half the profession had to leave to get involved on that, but we got to start somewhere, Wow.
So we've been talking here about the triumphs and the challenges. Let's talk about your greatest triumphs, greatest challenges. How have you overcome to get to that point of triumph?
Yeah, so my greatest challenge this past year is I found myself in the center of the culture war. Fox News wrote 3 articles about what a bad person I am.
Wow.
And I'm laughing about it because it's absurd. I I'm just one teacher. My friend Alexa is here today, and she had the same thing happen to her. I made it out much better than she did, but the first one was about, I made a TikTok where I told my followers to ask their students for their gender pronouns. And I was called every disgusting name you can imagine. I received death threats. I received pictures of my nephew. It was truly horrifying.
Wow.
And again, an extremely isolating experience, but one that I am grateful for, because I looked to my left and I looked to my right and I looked to my students, and they all had my back. And yeah, yeah. Don't Google me. But truly, the community gathered around me and they said, "We're with you." I was following district policy, and all press is good press, right?
I don't know about that. Right. You know, it's interesting that you bring up the whole idea of pronouns. It's like we're in the middle of change.
Yeah.
You know, and if there's nothing more constant than change.
Absolutely.
And right now, as our society grows and we continue to welcome more people into it, you know, people are learning that
Yeah.
you don't call everybody the same.
Absolutely.
You know, so, and I'm sure you all know this. There used to be a time in America where you would go into certain places and the sign said, no N-words, no Mexicans, no dogs, no Indians.
Yeah.
That was real
Yep.
in America. Until time went on, people and things started to change.
And it takes people saying that's not right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we don't have those signs anymore. They might be in some people's minds, but people are still learning things like you don't call Native Americans Indian
Yeah.
unless they come from the continent
Yes.
of India. You can also be open to calling them indigenous people,
Absolutely.
but people are learning
It's just opening
all
up
of this.
personhood for everyone.
So when you talk about pronouns, some people are changing right in front of you
Yes.
and have a way that they would like to be addressed. So we're all in the classroom of life learning it. And I'm very sorry that you had to go through that.
Thank you, Cheryl.
But there's always somebody like you
Yeah.
who has to suffer.
Yep.
That is
And I say, I'm a public school teacher. I teach the public, and some of the public is trans.
There you go.
There it is. So we talked about culture wars. I am a U.S. history teacher in South Florida.
Yikes.
Girl.
So you talked about the signs and the things that were there that were a part of history. And right now there is legislation and things that are telling us not to talk about those things. And as a history teacher, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like history until I started teaching it. I'm gonna be real with you.
Wow.
And so I had to find creative ways to make it fun and engaging for my kids. And now I'm being told that half of it I have to teach wrong, or I can't teach correctly, accurately, which is hard.
Just back up so
Yes.
our audience can hear that. You know what's right, you know what's wrong, and you must now teach incorrectly
Right.
or don't teach at all.
Yep.
Right.
Lord have mercy. Come
Right.
on now.
Right. And that on top of, teachers are very creative people. We have to be creative. And so it takes time for us to plan. It takes time for us to come up with these lessons that are going to keep kids engaged and make kids like history and make kids want to be there. And for me, to make them pass their state test, because they are tested. I teach 11th grade. And so whenever I have all these challenges and these barriers put on me, it's hard. It makes my job even harder, which then makes me even more upset because I'm still not getting paid, and I have all of these extra challenges on top of what the everyday things that I'm supposed to do. So it is challenging. However, we go back to the inspiration. I do have some amazing kids that make it worth it. But it's tough. It's tough in Florida right now.
Yeah.
However, I've heard a lot of people say that they're leaving Florida and they're done with Florida. But I wish people would come to Florida. You have to go to these places, and we have to vote. That's the answer.
Yes. Telling you.
For me personally, I worked really hard this year to address my own personal burnout. I know we all can relate to that. Because like you mentioned earlier, we have this invisible labor, right? And the way I address that personally, I have to force myself to work only during contract hours.
Yeah.
Not taking work home, not going to think about it. If it's not done during, before 3:40, it just won't get done. It is what it is. And like a lot of teachers are, I don't want to say fearful, but we hesitate doing that because it can show that it comes off that you don't care.
Yeah.
That's not the case. When I do that, of course, I'm taking care of myself, but I also see it as an act of resistance. Because I feel like all of this invisible labor that we do, it's abused, it gets taken advantage of, because people expect that. So that's me addressing my personal burnout, of course, taking care of myself, but also it's an act of resistance.
Wonderful.
We just looked at each other and we said, invisible labor.
Yeah.
And once again, to say that people do not see the actual work that you are putting in, not just in the classroom, but what happens outside of the classroom, what happens before you get to the classroom, and all of those hours add up to something that is worth far more than $30,000 a year.
Amen.
Far more. I know that I could sit here and talk to you all much longer. I love the history of it. I love the government of it. I love the whole music and choir of it all. Those are all of my subjects. But we're going to have to end it here. Is there anything that you'd like to say to our audience before we wrap up? Just anybody.
Thank you so much for being here and supporting us and supporting the teachers in your schools. It means a lot. And keep pestering the government. Just pester them. Pester the government.
Vote,
There you
vote,
go.
vote. Absolutely.
There you go. Anyway, we did have one question from the audience. Should we skip it, or can I ask it? Okay, I'm going to ask it. So to all of the... See, you thought it was over.
No, that's fine.
That's
We're
not
used
over.
to staying late.
Maybe they couldn't see it, but you got a standing ovation in the back. So the question from the audience says that we know that there are educator shortages around the country. How can we recruit more educators to the field? Oh, Lord, whoa.
So that's a $100,000 question.
What is
And
it?
keep 'em.
What does Barbara Howard say? We've got more new teachers than popovers.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. So I think teacher retention is a big part of it. In Minnesota, we're working on our pension plan. We rank something like 49th in the country for worst pensions, which is a shame because we take really great care of our educators. So I think having a great pension plan, having great benefits, making teaching is already a great career for parents, I think. I'm not a parent myself, but making it so that you can retire before your knees give out when you're rolling around on the ground with kindergartners. I think that would go a lot for retention and recruitment.
Absolutely. I also agree with things like this, where you bring people together, you bring teachers together to talk about, to air out these issues, to vent about these issues. Sometimes we just want to be heard. We need a spot. We need a place to be heard. And so having events like this where you feel like when you leave, you feel refreshed and you feel as if you feel empowered. Yeah. Those things are big, and letting people know teaching is fun and teaching is a great job. Regardless of all the stuff outside, teaching is fun. And so letting people know and showing the fun parts of teaching, I think people would be more likely to join the profession.
Yeah, that's what's great about your show.
Oh, thank you.
It's so authentic, and it really is that fun, y'all.
It is.
Thank you.
I would also say, too, to add on that, having paid internships through student teaching.
Yes! Yes,
So you're there, like,
yes.
that whole semester, you're paying tuition, and you're doing a full-time internship Monday through Friday all day. And I just thinking back when I did that, I worked nights to support myself. Like it's a lot because every other I don't want to assume, but many other professions they have paid internships.
Absolutely.
So that's a way to start, and then really investing into the younger teachers. I spoke about burnout moments ago. A lot of teachers don't make it past year 5 because they're so overwhelmed. The job is so hard. And they just need more support to, show them, like, once you get the hang of it, it'll be much more manageable. But we have to support our younger teachers.
Absolutely.
Yes. I love that. That's the Abbott Elementary of it all. Listen, I love all of you so much, all of you teachers, all of the educators, all of the unionists, all of the parents that are doing what they're doing. And I just want to say I was a teacher for all of 2 days. 2 days. And I couldn't take it for 2 days. So for what some of you are doing for 2 years, 20 years, all the way up to retirement, I love you, I respect you, and I appreciate you.
Let's give it up for our incredible teachers, Mandy, Aaron, and Keith. And get on your feet. That's right. All get on our feet. Yes, we are not worthy. We are not worthy. Oh my goodness, are they not phenomenal? And keep those hands together for one Miss Cheryl Lee. Hold on. It's not appreciation this year, Cheryl. That A for appreciation?
Yes.
This is what I heard you say. It needs to be about action.
Yes.
Action. Action, taking all that we just heard from our teachers today.
Absolutely.
And seeing everyone's role in making it so.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, as we transition to the third part of our program, we're going to hear just a brief message.
Thank you.